Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Travis, and I serve as a YAC Vice President of Operations. I would like to welcome all of you to a Bright Future Friday. We're excited to kick off panel with powerful theme, serve. This is about leading with purpose, showing up for our communities, and creating lasting impacts. Get ready to be inspired by voices who live that mission every day. Let's build a brighter future together.
Thank you, Travis, for that great introduction. So now let's introduce Miss Donnie Brown, the Chief of Youth Services of Baltimore, Maryland's Office of Employment Development. Donnie E. Brown is a highly effective workforce development change agent with special focus on in-school and out-of-school youth programming for 14 to 24-year-olds. She serves as the Assistant Director, Chief of Youth Services for the Mayor's Office of Employment Development in Baltimore, Maryland. In this position, she oversees multiple workforce development initiatives responsive to the needs of Baltimore City youth and young adults. She is passionate about helping individuals and organizations achieve their full potential through their collaborative work. Donise holds a master's degree in human resource development and a bachelor's degree in mass communications from Towson State University. Currently, she serves as the chair of the Tall Wheeled Society, a women's giving circle at Towson University, and a NYEC board member. Over the years, she has served on the following boards: Towson University Alumni Association, Towson University Black Alumni Alliance, Elizabeth City State University Foundation Board, and the Baltimore Workforce Development Board in the Choice Program. Donise is an active member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and the Links Incorporated. In her spare time, she enjoys traveling, spending time with her family, and listening to music.
Of introducing Mr. Tavon Thompson, the program manager of Yo Baltimore. Tavon Thompson is a passionate leader, mentor, and advocate for young people in Baltimore City. He serves as the program manager of Yo Baltimore, a youth-focused initiative under the Mayor's Office of Employment Development. Every day, Thomas works to empower youth through education, career training, leadership development, and real-life opportunities that help them reach their goals. He believes in the power of second chances, the importance of community, and the truth that your story doesn't end here. It's just getting started. Whether it's hosting major youth events like Yale Fest, mentoring young adults one-on-one, or simply showing up with encour- encouragement and real talk, Mr. Thomas is committed to helping youth grow, lead, and win. And to complete our panel,
Program Manager at Thread Inc. Namoda Kazim is a proud graduate of Morgan State University, where she earned her degree in elementary education. Originally from Upper Marlboro, Maryland, Namoda now serves as a program manager at Thread, a Baltimore based nonprofit that builds deep, enduring relationships to support young people. Her journey with Thread begins as an intern during her time at Morgan State, and now she helps lead programs that empower students and strengthen community ties across the city. The mother brings a passion for education, youth development, and community impact to everything she does.
now we're going to ask our panel guests some questions about their careers. So the first question will be, and you all can answer this question. The first question is, can you tell us a little about yourself and how you got into your current role?
That's a great question. Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That's a great question. Um, I kind of fell into this. I started out, I remember I've always been involved in leadership development activities, and I actually told my graduating class at Western that I would be the first African American female mayor of Baltimore City. So I do work for the mayor's office, but I was not the first African American female mayor um, for Baltimore. But I do enjoy interacting with people. I enjoy helping people in Baltimore, and I'm a diehard Baltimorean. So I live, breathe, eat. I go hard for Baltimore. I don't let anybody outside of Baltimore talk about Baltimore. And I believe in the vision that we have and also the passion and the purpose that a lot of things that go on in Baltimore have. And I got into this current role just to let everybody know never burn your bridges. Actually, someone that I was very good friends with, his father mentioned to me that there was an opening, and I shared my resume with him, and he passed my resume around, and he said, Donnie, I can get you an interview, but what you do with it after that is up to you. So they liked what they saw on my resume. I was invited to 2 interviews, and almost 30 years later, I'm still here. Mhm.
A little bit about myself. Well, as in my intro, I'm originally from Upper Marlboro, Maryland. I guess I would say I've been in Baltimore for a while. I went to the Seed School of Maryland for high school and middle school. Then I later went on to Morgan State, where I studied elementary education. And Morgan is what introduced me to Thread. It was a year where I decided that I didn't wanna, like, go find a regular job. I wanted to work on campus through work study, and I signed up to be, like, student tutoring, and through there, they plugged me in with Thread. I think I was, like, a junior in my 2nd semester of junior year, so I did it for another year with them, and then they had a position open up, and I applied, and I got it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Tavon Thomas. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. And what's interesting is that I grew up 2 blocks from the building that I managed. And so I was born and raised, it wasn't called Santel Winchester then, but in the heart of West Baltimore in the Holland Park area. I went to Carver High School. I went from there to Morgan State University, where I got my bachelor's degree. And then I went to Howard University, where I got my master's degree in social work. And how I got into this role, much like Ms. Brown said, not burning bridges. I was working here at the center. I decided that I would go on and try something else, and this opportunity became available, and I felt like this was the opportunity of a lifetime. And working in this role, there are no regrets. I love what I do every single day, and it really, really is a joy to be here and do what I'm able to do.
Thank you guys. I have another question for everybody. So, what is the most challenging part of your job?
Since I work with people, a lot of my metrics depends on how people show up. Um, for me, it's really important that, like, I was always told to leave my bad attitude at the door, and I think I had to carry that into adulthood with me. Since I work with kind of similar to Ms. Donnie's, I work with kids from 14 to 24 as well. So I always ask myself, who am I to come to them with my bad attitude when they're coming to me with what they're facing and what they're going on? So I think I would say the most challenging part is to like think outside of myself and be as open as I can be. We're people as well. So, well, I'm a person as well working with people. So making sure that like I'm tending to people and tending to myself as well.
I think you brought up a good point with that. I think I've always remembered that I want to try to treat people the same way that I want to be treated. And we all kind of deal in an area of customer service where we're interacting with people. But I would definitely say the most challenging part of my job are the multiple personalities of the not only the different people I manage, but that I come in contact with. And understanding that sometimes people do have off days, but still trying to be as professional as possible, um, and making sure that I'm bringing my best self to the job as well. Because I'm, as it was mentioned, we're human too, and we do have bad days, but I do have to code switch and an emotion switch and leave all of that at the door when I come to the office so that I can show up and give the best that I can to the staff and to those that we serve.
I would contribute this in addition to what my co-panelists have said. One of the most challenging things is not being able to resolve a situation in the moment sometimes, especially when it comes to meeting the needs of those that we serve. The resources aren't always available, or the problem is much greater than what can be handled in the moment, right? So if a young person comes in crisis, you want to be able to soothe them and calm them down as quickly as possible, but it may not be able to happen right away. So just navigating through that, all of the emotions that come with it, and then in those moments, calming yourself down first, right? Not allowing yourself to escalate with where they are, but being able to remain calm and to help them de-escalate and calm down, and then move toward a solution as quickly as possible.
Okay, so the next question will be from Ms. Namota. I would like to ask you what inspired you to pursue a career in your field.
As I said, I went to Morgan State for elementary education, and although I really loved my internships, I didn't feel like that I was prepared to stay in a classroom with grade school kids. And then my internship was a really good adjacent role where I could see what it would be like to work with high school kids outside of a traditional classroom setting. Um, and it really fit what I was looking to do, which was really support kids. I had mentors in my life that were really pivotal to how I got here and like to even sit on this panel. So I thought it would be a really rewarding role to go back in a space where I could do the same as others have done for me.
Thank you, Ms. Namoda. I have a question for Mr. Thomas. Can you explain more about how your work directly impacts the youth of Baltimore?
Fantastic question. So Yo Baltimore serves young adults between the ages of 18 and 24. Those young people who have either graduated from high school or who were unsuccessful in graduating, which means they've dropped out. And so our four core services are employment, which means we assist them with getting connected to employment opportunities. We have all of our services are free, but our GED program, which we call a self-paced high school diploma program, we have that here. We have a plethora of occupational skills training partners that we refer young people to. And then we do the barrier removal component, which is case management. In addition to that, we connect young people to mental health services, to housing services when they're available, to food programs that they need, anything that you can think of that a young person may need as it pertains to specifically removing barriers as it relates to employment or moving forward in their education. That's what Yo does. And so the goal at the end of the day is to assist them in moving forward in the direction that they want to go in. We don't know where young people come from, and we don't know always where they're going to, but the goal every single day is to show up and be very present, to show as much, as Ms. Brown said earlier, that customer service, high quality customer service, and in treating them in the way where they feel safe here. And so we want to change lives one young person at a time, especially those who live in the city of Baltimore. So that's our goal, is to change lives and impact them in that way, so that if they get a great start here at Yo or a restart here at Yo, we're hoping that will carry them far as they move forward in their lives.
Okay, thank you for that answer. So next question will be for Ms. Donis. I would like to ask you, in the future, what opportunities or challenges do you see for your industry?
I would say funding. There's so many things that we want to do and need to do to service young adults in Baltimore City, but it always comes down to, do we have enough money to do it? And also, even if we don't have the funding, how can we partner creatively with some other resources that do exist in order to support them along the way? So I would definitely say funding would be one, but that doesn't deter me because I work with a great group of people But I'm also in a space now where I don't mind reaching across the aisle to collaborate with other organizations so that we can kind of pool our resources and people together to provide impactful services to Baltimore City young adults or Baltimore City residents in general.
Thank you for that. Had I have a question for everybody next. I'm sure you guys have all faced setbacks in careers. So how did you overcome those setbacks?
I cried. No, I'm joking. I'll let the ladies go first.
I actually definitely did cry. Um, I come from a Nigerian background, so my mom was very much like, okay, like this happened, what were you gonna do? And I'm just like, so I had trained myself to kind of like just start moving on impact. But as I got older, like sometimes that's unrealistic. So like I cried first, and then I reached back out to my mom and asked for advice, and then other people in my life that were in places where I wanted to be. That's another thing that I had to learn, that I can't ask people who aren't where I want to be to get how I want where I want to be. So just asking for advice, definitely listening to my intuition. I think a lot of the time I like second guess my gut and be like, maybe it's not true, maybe it's not right, but definitely like trusting in myself and trusting in that emotion and then going from there.
Um, I always try to put myself in the other person's shoes if I'm able to, when challenges present itself. But I've learned over the years not to always take it personal. But when the other two mentioned the tears and just, being honest, sometimes you do get overly frustrated. And that's how we tend to express ourselves. And I don't think it's anything wrong with that either. But um, you have to strategize. You have to kind of sit back and regroup and think about how you want to proceed moving forward, and what's the end result that you want to see as well.
I would say I can't necessarily identify a setback. It would probably be more disappointment when it came to delay. I thought I should have moved quicker in my career than I did. And what I had to learn from that was, even though you feel like you're ready, it doesn't mean that you always are, right? You may have the skill level, but sometimes not the maturity level. And so, even for the role that I'm in now, if I would have had this, I'm not sure if I would have had the strength when I may have thought I could have been in the role as I do now. It took life. Sometimes life has to happen, and we go through experiences that kind of do what people say make us. And sometimes time does that, putting a little bit of time on some things and allowing yourself to grow a little bit more. And then when there is a setback, look at areas where you feel like you can improve, right? Take the criticism or take the feedback that you're given and really kind of go back and sharpen your skills. And so that when the next time an opportunity presents itself, you'll be ready. But I'm sure that when we properly align ourselves with purpose, everything is on time. You will not miss the opportunity that is destined for you.
Okay, thank you all for answering the question and letting us know what you did to overcome your obstacles. The next question will be for Mr. Thomas. Um, what advice do you have for young people that would like to enter your career field?
Take your time. Don't rush. Um, when I mentioned I went to, let me go back to high school. When I was in high school, I was a business major, right? I thought I was gonna be in somebody's corporate office or something, doing something quote unquote business related. And then life happened and time went on, and I finally went to Morgan. And I thought I was gonna be on the radio. I was gonna be your Quicksilver or your Pork Chop or any of those popular radio personalities. That's what I knew I was going to be. And then right as I was getting ready to graduate from Morgan, I felt this call towards social work. I'm like, social work? Who in the world? Like, why? Never saw it for myself. And when I finally accepted it, I started taking classes and I realized, hey, this is my niche, or this is where I'm supposed to be. It just fell in line with where my life was at the time. And when I think about it now, I proudly call myself a social worker. I'm a licensed social worker. And it was difficult even getting the license, right? But when you talk about being where you want to be and where you're supposed to be okay with learning along the way, be okay with um, going back to the drawing board and re-identifying who you are and where you want to be, various places in your life. But in particular, in order to do this work, you have to love people. You have to love people. There's no way you can work with and serve people and help them overcome their challenges and issues without having a genuine care and concern for people. My personal, the demographic that I love to serve is young people. I know my purpose in life is to work with young people. And that's the first thing, right? But, being able to identify that. What is it that I'm supposed to do? What is it that I'm most passionate about? And I think those things, asking those questions on a regular basis will help guide you in terms of where you want to be in your career.
Thank you so much for that. I really that was really nice. Thank you. So I actually have another question for everybody. Can you guys kind of explain like what a typical day looks like for you?
Can you define typical? I'm joking. I'm really joking.
Yeah, I don't think I know for myself, no day is ever the same. I live by a list of things to do, and I might write out that list of things to do and only get to two things on it. So then it gets piled onto my things to do list for the following day. Um, I find although I start my workday early and I started early so I can have that quiet time to respond to emails, to look at what meetings I have during the day and to prepare for those. But as an assistant director, I'm pulled in a lot of different directions, and also a lot of people come to me with questions and for support. So my day is usually deal with working with my staff on different things, and then I feel like I hit a good groove time at 4:30, which really should be clocking out time, but that's really when I start being able to answer emails, to work on some reports, and to do some other things. So every day is not the same. Um, every day definitely looks different, but then there are some days as I've gotten in this position, I've tried to leave Fridays as a lighter day for meetings so that I am able to prepare for the following week, but also to participate in things like this. Um, so if things of this nature come up, I'm able to support them in some sort of way. But I wouldn't change it for the world. I love my job. I love what I do. I even love it when it's hectic. Um, it definitely keeps me on my toes. But I will say no day is ever the same. But I can say it's just full of meetings. That's the one constant is that every day is full of a lot of meetings.
I could say the same. I think my schedule kind of changes during the season. So when the kids are in school, I Tuesday through Thursday have a lot of programming where we're either doing like a study hall, we're going over a subject topic that I chose. We have things where like we have like focuses during the month. So I know some months is like mental health awareness, some things are like time management. So just programming through that. Wednesday's thread actually has like a community day for our post high school kids. So like the kids who have graduated or even the kids who are still in school, and we all like meet up at Touch Point that's over in Mondawmin, and we have dinner, and then we have other types of programming. So it might be learning premise study. This past Wednesday, I did like a quick lesson on linear and exponential functions, or like someone else will have something. During the summer, it's kind of lighter because sometimes kids are in youth works or they're in summer school or traveling with their family. So I kind of keep track with their academics to see how they ended off the year. A lot of staff meetings, a lot of like staff retreats. We still have the Wednesday community meeting. So every Wednesday we see some of the kids. So it just goes with the seasons and what it's needed for the week. But in a day, I like check my emails, have a meeting, might call a kid or two. That's about it. Yeah.
Mine is similar to my co-panelists. There's always a lot to juggle and to figure out. Sometimes the excitement is in how multifaceted the day is. But sometimes it's troubleshooting. I have case managers who I supervise and oversee, and they have caseloads. And I feel like my staff, they're my caseload. And so the same way a young person will come to them with challenges, they come to me with challenges. And a lot of times, again, it's navigating through whatever they have going on. And if a young person comes to them with a challenge, hey, I'm not sure how to handle this. What should I do? So it's a lot of that. Much like Ms. Brown, it does feel like the end of the day is the start of my productivity sometimes. So I kind of linger around the office, but that's cool because I also find it necessary to be as hands-on as possible. And I don't want to be an individual who's out of reach. I'm the guy who's always in the office. So I want to be very present. I never want to lose touch with those who I am called to serve, because it is a call to service young people. And that means putting yourself aside, as well as it is when it comes to staff. It means sometimes putting yourself aside to be as present as you possibly can, because that's when you get to hear beyond the words and beyond the emotions what's really going on, so that you can better support and serve and help.
Okay, thank you for them answers. I'm sorry. The next question will be for everyone, and it is, what skills do you think are most important to succeed in your job field?
I would say organization,
Mhm.
um, compassion, and leadership. There's I work on a team, so I have to be able to come to the meetings and have what I need ready, not like they say the motor, like what's going on with the kids, and I'm like, oh, let me go back. Like I have to be very organized, very on top of my own facts, and be able to then like say, okay, I actually don't know this, but this is why. Can you assist me with this? And compassion, like my counterpart said, like sometimes we do work with other people and their multitude of personal things. So at third, we also do case management, but sometimes they don't go directly to the person who does case management. They'll come to me, and I can't just say, okay, that's so sad. Like I had to like be like, okay, like, I'm really sorry to hear that. How does that make you feel? Like, what do you want to like, how do you want to work it out? What do you think works best? What have you done? Being able to really be available or like quick on my feet to be able to step into those situations and not just like get like shocked myself because they're already in that emotion. I don't need to like contribute to it.
I would add, I love that you started with organization. That's a big one for me. And it's interesting, some of the things that you think you have to kind of go back and reassess to make sure those are the skills that are appropriate for the task assigned. So definitely organization is a skill. Listening is a huge skill. All right, being willing to listen and able to listen and hear again beyond what's being said, or even the excitement, not getting caught up in the hype of the moment. I would say strategic thinking as well as critical thinking. And sometimes being able to do all of these things at one time are very helpful. So there's a list of things, but I definitely feel at the top of the list for me is the ability to be organized, because as a leader in these spaces, people are looking to you for answers or for guidance. And so you always have to be ready to have an answer or game plan, or be able to do it with a rather quick turnaround, so that to the greatest extent possible, you don't miss a beat.
Um, I- my co-panelists hit on a lot of good points. I would definitely say time management
Mhm.
is a skill that you have to have, that because there are things that'll come up that will pull your attention, and sometimes also learning to say that you're not able to, or how to delegate it to someone else. So all of that falls into time management. Communication is very important, and not just verbal but written communication. I send a lot of emails, not only to staff but also out to the public and to City Hall for various things. So just making sure that my writing skills are always on point. I'm not one that's a big fan of Chat GPT yet, so I always want to keep my my mind moving and being able to write things. So that's important. Interpersonal communication skills, just how are you communicating and coming off when you're talking to somebody. Um, I always say it's not what you say, but how you say it, and it's a lot of it is the how that might not come off the appropriate way. So you want to make sure that you're talking to someone in the same manner, and that there's some reciprocity when they talk back to you in that manner as well. And Tavon touched on something. I would say critical thinking skills, that you have to sometimes look beyond what's in front of you, that you need to figure out so all of the dynamics that are involved in certain things that are taking place, but also how can this be, how to move it forward as well. Like, what's the vision that you have for something? So I think those are some important skills that you need to have and that you use day by day.
Okay, now I have another question. I remember Ms. Donise was talking about how she slows down her Fridays to, have make time for herself and stuff. So I was wondering if everybody could touch on how they take time away from their job, like mentally, and, make time for themselves.
Self-care. I'm a big proponent and advocate of self-care. Being intentional about it, to your point, meaning taking time away and making sure that you do something for yourself. Um, those of us who are really, really passionate about our work can sometimes be consumed by it, but we have to strike a balance. And for me, I love roller skating. If I don't do anything else, I roller skate. I spend time with my family. I watch YouTube like it's a whole network, right? So random videos and things that it's almost mindless, things that don't require me to think a whole lot. I like to be in a space where I can just kind of calm down and relax. Traveling, it doesn't have to be far, it can be to a different state, but just to do something to get myself out of my immediate environment so that I'm not burnt out. Burnout is real. Burnout is real, and I've experienced it, not even being aware of what it was. It wasn't until I was in it. And so it's like now, Tavon, it's incumbent upon you to be intentional or to be a good steward over your time and making sure that you're um, including yourself in what you're doing. So just being mindful of who you are. What works for you may not work for me. And so just doing the things I know will help me calm down and kind of woosah a little bit. Therapy is also something that I participate in, just to have an unbiased ear to listen and to provide feedback in a clinical way that will help me move forward and make sure I'm not in my own way.
Um, yeah, self-care. I also enjoy a good weekend out with my friends. And I participate in some of the activities that I share to my kids. So last week I went to a free movie. I can't remember where it's from. It was next to the art museum. It's by Hampton. It's a park over there. They showed Nightmare
Mhm.
Before Christmas. I go to the movies on Tuesdays. It's $7. Um, Baltimore has a couple beaches in the area that I might go and sit at. And then holidays, I really try to plan and do things. And then during the work week, I close my computer during lunch. I don't try to continue to work through lunch. I just take my lunch. If there's an email that rolls in from somebody else not taking their lunch, that is fine by me. And making sure I'm doing what I am supposed to do during the clock. I do tend to while trying to be organized, I do get distracted, but I do try to do as much as I can. So I don't feel that when I'm off the clock, my heart is pounding you forgot to do this, you forgot to do that. Just once the computer is closed, baby, I'm done. I really just try to act sometimes I act like I don't even have a job. I have all the money in the world and I can do what I want. So just unplugging completely.
Oh, Miss Kazim, if I could turn my computer off or turn it down during lunch, that I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna make if I start off doing that once a day, I'm not going to say I'm going to do it 5 days a week, but if I could do it one day a week, that is
Mhm.
progress for me. So I'm going to make a special note of that.
Mhm.
I enjoy traveling. I enjoy going to concerts. I try to get a massage once a month um, to relax myself. And I just enjoy being with friends. Anything that's going to make me laugh and that brings me joy is very helpful. And I was glad when Mr. Thomas talked about therapy because therapy, there's a stigma attached to it, which should not be attached to it. It is okay to go talk to other people about what's going on because they have a different perspective and they can give you some strategies to help you. So I'm glad that he did mention that. But yeah, if I can close that computer during lunch, even for 30 minutes, I'm gonna let you know. You're gonna be my accountability partner. I want you to hold me accountable.
And don't stress too much. My friend had to tell me, I was like, I think it's funny that no one like stops working during lunch. And she was like, who doesn't stop working? And I was just like, she was like, you get the same hours every day. Working through lunch doesn't make you go any faster. So I kind of just started like yesterday I ate my lunch and watched the whole movie. Like I just took that whole break.
And I would add, I schedule things in on my calendar, right? Or if I can walk away from I may leave the computer open, but I'll just walk away for a second to get reconnected to what's happening in the building. The way my office is set up, if you don't knock on the door, I may not hear a thing outside of the office, right? But so just being intentional about staying connected to the staff, staying connected to the young people, going outside and getting some fresh air, right? Just to change a quick change of pace. Sometimes it's a small effort, but it really can go have a huge impact.
Okay, and the last question for you guys will be, how does your company foster innovation and creativity?
Could you
As an
explain
organization,
the
I'm sorry.
could you explain the question a little bit more?
If I can answer, I would say maybe this will help. We are always offered an opportunity to be creative, and how we have, say for instance, we have annual goals that we are to meet. We're not necessarily giving a particular direction or way to go about doing it. We can be as creative as we want to be when it comes to how we enroll, what kind of enrollment activity or initiative, how we're doing it. Is it inside of the building or outside of the building? When it comes to marketing and promoting, being creative and how we reach our demographic, the kinds of events that we have. So I would say for the agent for Yellow, but I guess the agency at large, because we're given the freedom to be creative, it's almost kind of like the sky's the limit. So we're able to be as creative as we want to be within parameters and making sure that everybody remains safe. But we're allowed to be wildly creative, which is how we get to events like a Yo Fest or a block party that we did last year. At the core of it was a resource fair. It looked like a party, but it was a resource fair. But we did it in a way where young people would want to come out and to participate and to be engaged. So those are just some of the ways that we are allowed to be creative and innovative.
I would say, although we're the youth services division, as an agency on a whole, we deal with youth and adults and returning citizens. So you really do have to be creative in the manner in which you serve, not only in which you serve, but how you market the opportunities that you have available to you. So whether it's venues such as this that we're able to live stream, we're doing some things on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. You got to kind of meet the people where they are so that they are aware of some of the services that are available. And I will say I'm an assistant director is I don't want to keep people in a box. I want them to bring some sort of creativity, energy, ideas, because just because we did it that way a couple of years ago doesn't mean that's how we have to do it now. Because we want to stay trending and we want to make sure that we're relevant and that people are aware of what we're doing. And if you don't periodically go back to look at what you're doing, you do get stagnant and stuck in the ways of how it used to be done when it doesn't always have to be done in that manner. So I think as an agency, we do promote creativity, innovation, and also the way that we partner with the other divisions. I think that helps as well because just because we do it one way here doesn't mean that's the only way it has to be done. They might be doing it differently in another division of the agency.
I have a better idea now of my answer. Thread does a lot of like almost trends. So we have like a dedicated social media team. So just yesterday or just yesterday we shot a TikTok video of like the staff explaining what they like to do for the summer. We've done the trend where like HR tries to guess who is saying like hey to them. We also do a lot of community events. So we have a holiday party every year around the summertime. Last year the theme was homecoming and we had don't shoot me because I don't remember, but I know it's like a Baltimore known step team. They're like really big. Um, and they came out and performed for us. We had magicians there. We had the cartoonists there who drew pictures of people. And then we also celebrate our young peoples and just the community all together. So we have an event called Quad where every 4 years, like every young person who's been enrolled for every 4 years gets celebrated with a medal. This year it was a carnival theme, and this is my first full year at Thread. So these are the most themes that I know about, but everything we have is about celebrating and being a good time. It's like light, airy, and really just welcoming.
Thank you all for your very insightful answer. Q&A time.
You had cut out for a little second.
So now we're opening up to the viewers to ask questions on this Q&A. So someone asked, what inspired you to pursue the path that you're on today?
I really like helping people. I used to want to, at one time, I mean, outside of always thinking I was going to go into politics, I come from a family of educators. And I used to teach at a leadership camp. So I've always enjoyed interacting with young people. But I also believe in um, making sure that others have similar opportunities that I might have had. And as my staff deal with people, I tell them, you treat those people just like you would want services given to your aunt, to your mom, to your dad, to your cousin, to your sister. Make sure that you're providing those type of services to people that you would want somebody in your family to receive.
I would add to that. It took some time to identify who I was in relation to what I wanted to do. So it wasn't something where I knew a long time ago that I would be. I never thought, even in coming into this building as a child, that I would end up in this role. But I am very clear that it takes time for some of us. My journey in terms of pursuing degrees in college and moving forward in that way, it wasn't traditional. I took some time. I thought I was the late bloomer. I thought I fell behind everybody who, at the time of graduation from high school, they knew what they wanted to do. Tavon felt like the only guy who did not know what he wanted to do. But it was through accepting that everybody's path is different that I allowed myself to go on the journey. And when the time was right, when I matured and when I was able to handle school and all of the other opportunities that came after that, that's when I kind of fell into my rhythm. And again, I just knew I was going to be on the radio. It wasn't until I was pulled towards social work and found my passion there. And even that, I did different things. I took a break. I was a school teacher. I thought I was going to pursue my master's in education and be this wonderful special educator. It didn't turn out that way. I, much like my co-panelists, wasn't made for the classroom in elementary school. So I enjoyed teaching and working with adult learners. But again, being true to me, and I would pass that information on to everybody that's listening, be your authentic self all the time to the greatest extent possible. And there you'll find your rhythm. And even though your talent or your gifts may match somebody else's, there's still room for you at that table. So eat wherever the table is set before you and be as authentic as you possibly can.
I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do when I was entering my senior year at Morgan. But I had really fell in love with Thread just with the way that they commit to their community. Um, when I first like my first week as an intern at Thread, they were taking the young people on a trip to Virginia to go see Virginia State. And my manager at the time was like, "Would you like to participate?" And they literally like took me on the trip with them. I had never met them, they had never met me. And they didn't like seclude me, they didn't expect these big expectations of me. And then also the way that they were connecting with their young people that they already had, it made it a lot easier for me to not feel shy and not hold back. And the young people were really receptive to me too. um, I'm really used to being in like a community space. So feeling that extension of what I was used to at Thread, it kind of pushed me more to find out more about the organization. And I eventually fell in love with it and started working there. So I would say try out things sometimes, like Mr. Thomas said, you want to do certain things, you like certain things, but you really don't know till you get into it and figure out if you liked it. I could have worked for Thread and not liked it at all and gone a completely different route. It just so happened for me that I like this route.
Okay, and now someone else in the chat said, X, what advice would you give your younger self?
I think Bruno Mars sang a song, "You're Amazing Just the Way You Are." I lack personal identity. And so, because I wasn't satisfied with who Tavon was, Tavon tried to mimic what he thought was cool, what he thought that what would be acceptable to other people. And I still wasn't satisfied even in doing that. It took me some time to find my rhythm, to identify the value in myself. Linking up with people who are like-minded or who are moving in the same direction is always important. But just to be satisfied with who you are, to give yourself grace and to give yourself patience. We're not made to be an identical or duplicate to someone else. You are unique in the way you were created, and find the strength in that. So that's what I would tell little Tavon. I would tell, bro, chill, you good. At some point, you're going to find out who you are, and you're going to make an impact in this world. And I tell people, everybody won't have a platform of 1 million people. We won't have a worldwide platform, but it does not mean that we're any less effective. We can be effective in the spaces that we're placed in. It could be someone who was within arm's reach of you that is meant for you to connect. It could be 100 people, it could be 1,000 people, but wherever that space is, be cool and be satisfied there, because when you're shown that you can handle that, just maybe you'll be given a greater platform. But be cool, be satisfied with who you are, and you'll go as quickly as you're supposed to go when you're supposed to get there.
I would say being comfortable with being uncomfortable. I really like what I like and I want what I want. Sometimes it was really when I was younger, I really didn't understand it as a concept that sometimes people will not do what I want, or I won't get what I want, or what I want won't even be available. So having to pivot is really hard for me sometimes. I just think that it's my way or no way, and that's not how the world works. So definitely telling myself that it's okay to like have something different or do something different, and taking my time to like figure out things and not being like really hard on myself.
I would probably tell my younger self to be a little bit more adventurous. I've always kind of played it safe with things that I've done. Even when it comes, if you hear people talk about investments, it's like moderate, it's like low risk, moderate, conservative. I'm kind of a low risk person sometimes, and I wish as a younger me that I wasn't, that I would have pushed the envelope a little bit more on certain things and been a little bit more adventurous and willing to take like a leap of faith. and not always be as structured as I am. And not that it's a bad thing, but I would definitely tell my younger self to go ahead and go out there and take a risk every now and then. And, you'll be okay, but just go ahead and take that risk and see where it might lead you.
And thank you guys. So we're going to wrap this up with one more question. So, what advice would you give someone that just started out in your area of work?
So for work, I just made a work page, like a little Instagram page, so I can connect more with the kids in my portfolio. And the first thing I did was like follow all of the Baltimore resources page. And to my surprise, like as somebody who was like already on social media, it was all I see is like all of these opportunities, all of these activities. Most definitely getting in contact with your resources within the city, whether you follow them online or you like, look at the papers that they post up in places. I think sometimes you can see them in grocery stores or you might like hear like an event go on, especially I live in the downtown area. So sometimes when I see events going on, even if I'm like going somewhere, I like kind of peek or ask people on the way like what's going on and just, asking and networking is really important. Letting people know that you're there. I think sometimes I know I was raised to like try not to be as big in a room, but like take up the space in the room. The more that people know that you are there and you're interested and you're someone to be around, the more likely they'll remember you again or even want to like offer you something then and there. So connecting and networking.
I would add, connect your why to your work. Um, Especially when I in this role, it seems you can get in any role rather, you can become a bit overwhelmed. Things can become challenging, and I always went back to why I applied. Right? Why was this role of interest to me? What made me want to do this work? And when I'm able to connect my why to the work, it really calms me down. It's soothing. It actually energizes me so that I'm always balanced or centered with why I'm here. And then get back in the game and keep moving, keep playing, and keep moving forward. But I would say keep your why connected to your work and your work to your why. And I think when you do that, you'll realize, okay, hey, this is what I'm supposed to do. Or maybe it was something else I was trying to do. But if you always, again, going back to being your authentic self, if you keep that at the forefront, it'll allow you to be highly effective in the work that you do.
I would definitely say to ask questions, find a mentor, and I know people kind of throw the word mentor around, but I would say find people that are able to support you in what you're trying to do, but also not only support you, but people who will say and pull you up on the side and say, you might, maybe you should have done something a little different, or you might want to look into. And these are people that will help you grow professionally and personally. I always think it's good to have that person who's a listening ear that won't be judgmental, but will be able to give you sound advice that you're willing to respect when it's given to you. And even as you're asking the questions, be sure to listen to the reasons about the why sometimes certain things occur, and find a way to see if that process is the best process. I feel like sometimes when we come into a new job, we're real excited. We want to change the world, but sometimes it's okay to sit back and observe exactly what's going on, what's currently taking place, and see how you can weave your ideas into the current structure that's there, and take advantage of any type of educational opportunities that are available, that are being offered at a place of employment.
Okay, thank you guys for that advice that you would give to someone who's coming into your work field. And that will be the end of our panel. Once again, our guests are Mr. Tavon Thompson, the Yo Baltimore Program Manager, Ms. Donnies Brown, the Chief of Youth Services for MOED, and Ms. Nemota Kazim, a Program Manager at Third Inc. We would like to thank you guys for joining our panel and giving us more insight on your job careers and what you do in your field. We would like to thank you and have a blessed day.
Thank you. Great questions. Did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Great job.